Hey everybody, this is Derek and welcome to episode 37 of the World of DVC Show.
Okay. Wait. Where's Derek?
I just heard his voice. I swear I heard his voice.
I'm over here at the Polynesian.
Oh. Of course he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the world of DVC, the ultimate DVC destination where magical vacations meet incredible value through exceptional service. Put in your headphones, turn the volume up, sit back, relax, and step into the world of DVC.
Just wish on a star. Enter the world of DVC.
Look who's here.
Hello.
That was awesome. Lindsay.
We're doing change of seats again. We kicked Derek out and brought Lindsay in.
We keep changing around. Stay tuned for the next month who's going to sit here and there and in this seat. But it's so nice to see you.
The hot seat. It is mine today. I love it.
Fresh from the chilly weather. You said it was in the 40s?
Yeah.
In Indiana?
We were below 40 when I left yesterday morning and in April. It's weird because we hit 80 the week before. We had to turn the air conditioner on, and so it was like summer.
And now you have the heat on.
And now the heat's back on because it was 62 degrees in our house.
Right.
Because of the chilliness. But
you came to beautiful weather.
It's gorgeous here
at
now.
Disney. Yeah.
I'll take this weather
it's
any
beautiful.
day.
Yeah.
So it's gorgeous.
We're so glad you're here to join us.
Thanks. Happy
It's
to be here.
exciting. Yeah, definitely.
Always a pleasure.
So where we've seen so far this year is a lot of people have had questions about buying DVC on the resale market, but also renting points. And so especially in 2024, right? Things have changed. We're not in the same seasons as we were during COVID times.
Right.
Obviously, we did a huge pivot with DVC Rental Store after that. But the great news is it doesn't stop there, right? We continue to grow, we continue to innovate. So what we wanted to do now and today is really just break down those renting 101 in 2024. And this could change next year. It could change in 6 months from now.
Right.
But we wanted to tell you kind of what's relevant right now today. But before we do that, let's talk about all that we've been doing around Disney. Because I know Lindsay has a really fun story.
Oh, geez. I don't know, fun. But yeah. So I'm here. Whenever I'm here, I try to at least visit one, if not all of the parks, just because of being in Indiana. It's the attraction of coming here.
This is one of your happy places.
On top of seeing these fine folks.
We're second.
Yeah, but
we know where we fit in.
I am staying at Wilderness Lodge this go around, which is one of my favorites. Just when you walk in, to give a big inhale and exhale is one of my first things to do.
Are you staying in the Wilderness Lodge, like the main lodge?
I am.
Not one of the DVC sites?
I'm not on points on this trip.
Okay.
I have stayed on points numerous times.
Yeah, you've done a lot of rental, right?
Yeah, and typically, I'm not a DVC member, so I think I've said that on other shows, but typically rent points myself. But in this case, it was a kind of a later, last minute kind of trip. Availability wasn't great, and I wanted to stay a little bit closer into Magic on this one. So for me, it was a good fit. I was able to find it direct, and that's how I'm staying on this one. So yeah, so staying at Wilderness, Poly is my family's first love. We love staying at the Polynesian. Wilderness is definitely my second love, so I'm kind of living a dream right now.
And that's
all the
one
time.
of the cool things to butt in here. But one of the cool things is, again, with the world of DVC, you have that ability, right? You can rent points for less and save significantly, but we also know that there's times, just the way that Disney Vacation Club is set up, Disney Vacation Club doesn't own the entire resort.
Right.
And so there's
Great
a portion
point.
of it that either DVC owns themselves that they use for cash reservations, and there's a portion that always live in the cash bucket.
Yes.
So there are times where last minute people will go online and be like, well, I see it online.
That's exactly right.
It's not for members to rent out. So in those scenarios, if we don't have it available, that's the beauty of our team. We have Be Our Guest Vacations where you can book cash with them, or if you're planning ahead, you've got the rental side. So that's the really great thing, is you can kind of strategize on some trips you might be renting points. Some trips you might be doing that last minute one night where you're like, I need to be close to Magic Kingdom, so this is how I'm doing it.
Yeah. And I will say, I was had my to-do list or my checklist for where I wanted to stay on this one, but with renting points, a lot of last minute stays, if you don't really care where you're at, or you're okay with maybe Animal Kingdom, Old Key West, or Saratoga, that's a little further out, then by all means renting is a great way to go, because there are typically last minute options at those resorts. But if you do have kind of a checklist of what you are wanting to do and where you're wanting to stay, booking further out is definitely the way to go on that.
Why
But
was
we're kind
Magic
of doing it.
Kingdom a priority for you this
So
trip?
I'm a Magic girl. Magic is my favorite park outside, and then probably Hollywood. But for me, I definitely needed to see Happily Ever After again on this trip. It seems like it's either raining or it's too late. I'm exhausted or whatnot on past trips. So this one I was like, I have to go. Wilderness, Boulder Ridge, Copper Creek, they're all together right there. If you look at the DVC side of things too, but offers the dedicated boat back and forth to Magic. So for transportation, you don't necessarily have to rely solely on the buses to get you there, here and there if you don't have a car. You're not on the monorail, but it is considered a Magic Kingdom resort. So to have that dedicated boat is awesome.
Do you stay as scheduled as you do? Because you're the Excel spreadsheet
I
mom
am.
where you've got every single thing down. So do you still stay as scheduled when it's just you, or is this kind of like your time where you just kind of go with the flow of things?
This is me time.
Yeah.
But I definitely have my must-dos. So People Mover is a must-do. My oldest daughter loves it, so it's a little nostalgic for me to just do it, but I love it. Daytime, nighttime, do it both because it offers different.
It's different, yeah.
It's different. Pirates and Haunted are my two favorites, just because they're Walt originals and I love them. So I have to do them. And I texted, here we go.
I texted Lindsay this morning and I said, "Did you have a good night last night at Magic Kingdom?" And she said, "Yes, I saw the hot box."
Well, it was supposed to be Hat Box.
No idea what she was. Exactly. My face was Marissa's face. Like, what? And I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And she said, "I just can't with you." So you saw something at Haunted Mansion.
Yes. So the new
We have no idea.
So I was texting, and of course, one, I didn't have my glasses on, but two, autocorrect made Hat Box Hot Box, and so I thought maybe that's why she was so confused, but no. And I'll give you grace. But yeah, so the Hat Box ghost is really big in the latest version of the Haunted Mansion movie that was there. He's brand new in both Haunted Mansion here and out at Disneyland. And so for those that are kind of diehards,
I have to go see it.
Yeah, it has to go all the way back to like the original creators of the Haunted Mansion, and there's a lot of history behind him. I won't bore you with all
You
of
had
that,
me with
but
that, with the history and heritage, because
yeah.
I do love all that. And I was like, how did I miss all that?
Yeah.
Because I'll miss something from a movie, but when you said it goes back to the originators and the history, and I was like, all right, I have to go see it then.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So anyway,
So you had a great night.
I did. I just got my rides in. I saw Happily. It was gorgeous outside.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I can't complain. So here I am.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm ready to go back into
know,
the
me
parks
too.
too.
I am too.
Us here at
Yes.
World of DVC, we have had a lot of fun at Disney over this last month. So we took your votes and we put them to the test. So we spent the day at the Polynesian pool. So we'll show you some clips
Number
from
one
that.
rated pool.
Number one rated pool. So
That's
we'll have
surprising
some
to me.
snacks and drinks, and you can watch us along the way.
Yeah.
And then we went to the number one dining location
right.
at Animal Kingdom. So we went and spent an evening there and had some food. So we'll show you guys our explorations. Join us as we tour the amazing places to dine at Animal Kingdom. We have so much to show you that we're going to make this an entire new episode next week. So stay tuned to get all the details on dining at the Animal Kingdom Resort.
Jumbo.
Jumbo.
You remember what Jumbo means?
Welcome.
See? Welcome, everybody. We're here because you told us to come here. We asked y'all and said, what resort is the best for dining? Disney Vacation Club Resort, best for dining.
If you were stuck at a resort all day long, from breakfast till dinner, what would it be? You guys all voted, and Animal Kingdom was the one that won.
How can it not win? You can see the sign right behind me. Welcome to Sanaa. We are at Kidani Village. Thanks to all of you for
What's more colorful, Marissa's dress or the tandoori chicken? Experience. Where in Florida can you go and just sit and dine with the giraffes behind you?
Between the
and
giraffes and the zebras, oh my gosh.
And the food?
Here I am at Chico, one of my favorite restaurants. This is fine dining at its best. It has.
All you can enjoy buffet. They have this really incredible African marketplace, and the
It's really pretty. So it looks like there's some sort of cake, maybe some icing, chocolate, sprinkles. I mean, what's not to like? You want to have one with me?
Sure. And there's a surprise in the center.
Cheers.
Cheers.
A big shout out to our World of DVC audience. Thanks for taking the time to vote in the comments your favorite DVC resort to dine at. We had an incredible day exploring all the amazing places to dine at the Animal Kingdom Resort. But that's not all we had you vote on. We also had you vote on the best DVC pool and pool bar. So next stop, Polynesian.
Dole Whip. I've got one straw for me, spoon for me, and I have one for Marissa. So when she's done filming, we're gonna eat this Dole Whip. Then I'm going in the pool because it's one of the coolest pools that you can possibly find here at Walt Disney World. Where else can you literally sit in the pool, float, and see Cinderella Castle? So enough being said, it's literally 180 degrees out here. I'm gonna eat this Dole Whip and go in the pool. I'll see you on the water slide.
All right, guys, well, thank you so much for tuning in, giving us all your votes from dining reviews to pool reviews to bar areas, and our Dole Whip has died.
It literally, we joked and said as soon as we got it, because today is a scorcher. It literally is like over 100 degrees here in beautiful sunny Walt Disney World. And we said, how long is this Dole Whip going to last? We should have voted on it because I think it was, the over-under was maybe 2 minutes, I think it lasted.
I think we're right at like 2 minutes, 20 seconds. So I guess we're gonna have to try to dig in. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Well, we had such a fun time. And I know I saw your face a little bit surprised, but the question we asked was not necessarily like the best single pool. It was more of where's the best place if you were hanging out by the pool.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. And then same thing with food. If you were at a resort from morning till night, where would you like to be stuck at? So those were the two winners, and we had a fun time exploring.
I love to explore Animal Kingdom too. We don't get to do that very often.
No, we don't get to go as. But the thing is too, what I love, and I think more people should take advantage of, and I think we see that a lot with our DVC member community, but not as much with our DVC renters or first-time guests, where they don't always leave that space for a resort day.
I completely agree.
It's so important, and I think being local, we have such a benefit to that. But for our family, those are our favorite days. We'll book a dining reservation. I mean, Animal Kingdom is one of our favorite places because you can go in, the playground is awesome there. You've got the arcade there. You have pickleball courts. You get to go and see giraffes and zebras. You get to see, like, in the front lobby at Jambo, they have the person, like, from Africa doing, like, the African carvings. So just, and then they hire people who are local to, like, Africa and South Africa, and they know the regions and the animals. It's just so
it's very
awesome.
Exploratory.
Yes.
You know, it's that's what I love about it too, is that save that time for that resort day, whether you're at the pool or going out and listening to some, you know, to a guide talk about the animals behind you, and there's just so much to explore there between Kidani Village and Jambo House. And then the food there is so delicious. Even the merchandise location in Jambo.
It's so unique.
It's huge. And it has so many unique animal carvings and crystals, and it's just different, I think, than most other Disney resorts. So 100%. If you are renting, to Marissa's point, save that day for that resort, because the parks are great. Of course, we all love the parks.
Add on an extra day.
Add on an extra day, exactly.
That part of your vacation.
And include that, because even if one of the things I love about DVC at Animal Kingdom is it's the only resort with the concierge lounge. And I love a good concierge lounge. And so some people will say, why do I care about that? I'm not even going to be at the resort. No, like that's your time to unwind, relax, read a book, enjoy the Savannah view, enjoy the concierge lounge. Like there's just so much there. Yeah.
I think that's a good point with renting, because we're kind of focusing on renting on this one. A lot of folks that do rent points are not DVC members, and so they don't know that they can actually go into the other resorts, take a look around. You're not staying at the other resorts, you're simply visiting each of those resorts.
And even the clubhouse. I think, like, so we went into the kids clubhouse at Animal Kingdom. The kids they make bracelets and necklaces. They played video games, and it's free. And there's no one ever in there. And I think a lot of people assume that you have to be a DVC member
to use
and
it.
you don't.
You don't.
So there's
It's
just
for
so
all
much.
guests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely take advantage of it on rainy days, especially.
I was just going to say that. Not
Yeah.
every day is sunny. Like, there are some rainy
getting into
days
summer
here.
season.
Oh, my
Expect
gosh.
it.
Yeah.
And it's great, especially during the holiday time. I mean, obviously that's a very unique time anyway, but all of the resorts are decorated so
gosh,
beautifully
yeah.
and different. So if you are here during the holidays, make sure to at least do the monorail loop. You can see all of them and enjoy all of them. But I think if you're a renting guest, that is definitely something that you can take advantage of and make that one of your days if you just need more of a down day.
Yeah.
You know, we've been needing to do like a monorail loop show. You want to come back and do that one? I feel like you're
Here in September.
Wonderful. Food and wine, monorail,
Yes.
all the Halloween stuff.
So stay
It's
tuned.
great.
We'll do a whole
We'll do it.
episode on
Love
that.
Love
one.
it.
Yeah.
But for this month's giveaway, what I wanted to do is really get your guys' questions, because that's where we learn so much about people watching the show, what you're looking for. So we're going to cover some really key rental points so far in 2024. But if you have rental questions, ask them in the comments. Whether you're a DVC member already and you're asking questions about what it would look like to rent out your points,
For sure.
or if you're a first-time guest or you consistently rent points and you have some questions on what's the best way to use it or strategize, put those questions in the comment. And what we'll do is we'll reach out to Lindsay and we'll get all of those answered by her and her team, and then we'll read those answers on next month's episode.
Put some myths in there too. Like I love to do like Mythbusters,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
I've heard this happens if
great
this
idea.
happens. No, like let us kind of, or let Lindsay, the expert, sort of kind of dispel those little myths that are out there.
Love that
Yeah.
idea.
So let's jump into renting in 2024. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do this specific episode, I feel like as we go into this whole new era of the internet, right? I think there's a whole, and I don't want to focus just straight on like scams or anything like that, but I just think there's so many more like savvy scammers out there. And so for many of us, we try our best to be savvy consumers. And for a very long time, with renting DVC points, a lot of people could navigate that in a savvy way.
Yeah.
Then it got to a point where really your best decision is going through a company like
Absolutely.
DVC Rental Store, because it's not worth it to save a few $100s more and take the risk of showing up on your vacation and not having that room there. And again, not to go into like the fear of it, but we've just seen lately, especially, so many different guests reaching out about, hey, I had this reservation. So one example, a guest had sent me, they had a reservation and I mean, this is kind of the first red flag, but they're not DVC members. They're new to DVC. They didn't know. So they wanted to book a value room at Disney Vacation Club. And so value rooms are very hard to come by.
Extremely.
They were able to get that booked right away as they put their request in through like a Facebook group. And then what's the resort that only has value rooms? Jambo or Kadana?
It's
Kidani.
Jambo,
Just Jambo
only.
Yes.
And there's only
Same
like
with concierge.
5 of them if you're looking at the deluxe studios. So if you think about the Jambo house building, and only 5 rooms within that entire building
And it's so
are dedicated
deceiving.
as
Because
value accommodations. Kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of just
people
how
see the
few there
points
are.
and they're like, this is the lowest points I can get
For
a room.
sure.
Yeah, sure, but you're not going to find that room. Like, just plan
Right.
on it not happening.
Yeah.
Like, go with the standard view for a few points
Absolutely more.
And so they were able to get the value room and they were ready to book, ready to make payment. And then they just did a double check. So they even went to county records, checked the deed, and they were like, oh, this person does own an Animal Kingdom. They double checked their record right before they were going to pay, and something was a little off. And they had at least paused and done enough research. And the value view room was at Kidani on the confirmed reservation. Those don't exist.
Yeah.
And so, but the normal person
Would
going
not
to
know
Animal
that.
Kingdom
Would
would
not
not
know
know
that.
that.
Right.
And so, sure, you could spend like 10 hours of your life trying to be a sleuth and decipher whether this
Right.
is real or not,
Right.
or pay like slightly
Yeah,
more
and give it to an expert.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And know that
Yeah.
not only that, but I think, again, one of the major things we want to talk about today is just why booking with DVC Rental Store in 2024. Well, having that peace of mind, right? Knowing that you're dealing with a real company here in the United States. There's no international fees, nothing like that. But also having that peace of mind of having a cancellation policy.
Yeah.
And DVC Rental Store pioneered this when COVID hit. And
Right.
those are those moments where I think you can look at companies, and we all did, right? During COVID, and some companies didn't make it.
Yes.
And some companies got ahead in the market. And why? It's how they pivoted in those moments. I think all of us had pivot points in COVID. Like we could look back and say, how did my life change?
Yep.
And we all were doing different things or had a different way of working. And we all had to, and that was such a buzzword at the time, but I think it truly was important to watch. And even now I look at companies and see what did they do differently to get ahead. And it is so unique and exciting to see how people listen to their consumers and then grow from that. And so that was a big step that DVC Rental Store took, is having that built-in cancellation policy, 100% free, right? And so one of the big things with that is you have peace of mind booking. And so sure, you might find other cancellation policies out there, but we have the absolute best option for our guests. And that's what our goal is, right? Is to always give the best options. And so Lindsay, can you walk us through the cancellation policy a little bit and how that works and what that looks like?
Yeah, for sure. So prior to COVID, we did not offer a cancellation policy that was built in. It was something that we kind of had available, but it was kind of a buy-in type situation. Took a lot of feedback. Obviously, I think a lot of companies did during COVID and really listened to what guests were telling us. And that's really where our cancellation policy kind of was created from. And so it is a credit-based cancellation policy. In other words, the funds that you pay are non-refundable, but you do get a credit should you need to cancel the reservation for whatever reason. So it could be an illness, an unexpected death, a baseball tournament, or just simply you can no longer travel, and anything in between. So we really don't ask. There are no paper trails. There's no loopholes. You can simply email into
Which is a
my
huge
team
peace of mind.
and just say we can no longer go. We don't ask any
Right.
questions. Just let us know. And then that credit is really offered based on when that cancellation request from you, the guest, is received. And so to get a full credit back, we would need to receive that cancellation request 120 or more days prior to your date of arrival. And then it does tier from there based on when that cancellation request is received. So to get the most of your funds back in a credit, we would need that cancellation 120 or more days prior. And the credit is then good for 24 months. So 2 years from, the time that you were originally supposed to travel, for 24 months.
That's awesome.
You have to use it.
So you have 24 months. So you can, this might be an obvious question, but just to ask in case anybody's thinking this, I can, if I'm within that 120-day cycle, I can change that reservation too. I can modify it.
You can, but booking a new reservation would be obviously based on availability.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So we have a lot of guests that are, they book right when that 11-month booking window opens, and then the school schedule is released, basketball, sports schedule, whatever, is released, and they'll contact us literally a week later and say, oh my gosh,
I didn't realize.
We had no clue that the school, that when the tournament was going to be held, or maybe this break got pushed back an entire week for next school year. We had no clue. What can we do? And so a lot of guests will cancel the original reservation, the first one that they secured, get that full credit back, and then apply that credit to a new reservation. Of course, subject to availability. But in most cases, when we're that far in advance, there's an easy alternative to come to.
But it's perfect. Like we're dealing with that right now. My 6-year-old, big time sports player.
It's coming, Marissa. It is coming.
They have playoffs for the 6-year-olds. I was like, I didn't know there was playoffs. And so then tonight determines what the next month looks like because it's double elimination. And they're like, if tonight, then Thursday, if not Saturday. And we had plans to Vero Beach, and I was like, we got to move that and shift that. But that makes a lot of sense. And I think if you're in those situations, but especially with those ones where we do big groups and travel with family. So we always like to book larger spaces or multiple rooms knowing, but then having that peace of mind of hey, if I know I can give my family, this is your hard deadline, then if not, we're going to have to cancel or look to do some sort of modification. So that's really, really good.
Yeah, we have a lot of guests that really appreciate it. And the cancellation policy is outlined on our website, dvcrentalstore.com. So definitely, make sure you check that out. We always encourage it. Read through it, make sure you know what's all being offered within it. But it's a great alternative. And like I said, it really came from COVID and kind of listening to our guests on what they were looking for.
It's nice too that it's built in.
For sure.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great,
it's wonderful.
That's a great ad.
one less thing to think about.
One
when
less
you're
thing to think
securing a
about. It's already
reservation.
there. Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
peace of mind.
Yeah.
Truly.
And I think too, in the world of travel insurance, that is definitely a question that we're asked a lot about. And if you can purchase travel insurance with a rental, that is the case. We are not in the insurance business by any stretch, but no loopholes, no paperwork. It's there. You just email us in. It's
And that's
easy.
where I find a lot of chatter, whether that's on like different boards or Facebook or like even Discord groups that I'm in, where a lot of people choose to work with us at DVC Rental Store because of that. And that's a differentiating factor.
It is.
And that, again, that's what we strive to do with all of our businesses, right? Is have that edge for our guests.
Right.
And that might be cutting into like our profits, but we want to make sure that we're giving our guests that best experience possible. And so we had that learning lesson through COVID, but that has been one of the really great things that a lot of people have said, hey, we're going to go with you because of that safety net that you offer just because we booked with you.
And it's great that it is 100%. And I'd like to kind of stress that it is truly 100%, credit of what you've paid us. We don't take anything out of that. The $100 deposit that is initiated for a reservation, that is given back in the credit as well. There's nothing taken out of that money credit that's offered.
Yeah.
So
all transparent.
yes, 100% transparent.
Another big differentiator that I find with DVC Rental Store is the availability.
Yeah.
And so where a lot of companies out there will charge you like a fee just to check and see if the room you want is available, DVC Rental Store, all you have to do is put your name and email in, and then you can check and see
Right
what's
there.
available.
Yeah.
And availability, it's subject to change, right? And it's
Absolutely.
pulling. And I was helping a guest book the other day for a marketing thing that we were doing. And DVC moves fast.
Very fast.
We do it with our Vero Beach trip too, because I sit on there and it's like refresh, right? And so even the website, so it's kind of like this moving pieces. So keep that in mind as well. But I think just looking at me as a consumer, right now I'm trying to book tickets for something for my son's birthday and it's not showing online and then they're not answering their phone. So now I'm like, oh, I got to email in. And all I just want to see is like, is it available? What's the cost? So I can start to get an idea of like, we're planning his birthday around this. And so I think that's so helpful. Again, it's those steps that we take for you, our guest, looking to rent. You can go on. You can get an idea of what's available.
Right.
You can see what it's going to cost. It's not this big mystery of like, put some money in and then maybe we'll let you through the gates.
It is a great tool. And I think for, when you're looking and planning those trips last minute or well in advance, some options do tend to sell out very, very quickly. Standard view, definitely. We always encourage when you're budgeting.
Let's talk about that really quick.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are you seeing some of the like quickest sellout rooms or hardest to get rooms that you get requests for?
So anytime a resort offers a standard view option, so Bay Lake, Boardwalk for sure, Riviera, Grand Floridian, they all offer various views. So standard view, lake view, theme park view, lagoon view, they're all out there. Animal Kingdom is kind of the outlier because there's either standard or Savannah, and typically they hold out about the same amount of time. But outside of that, the rest of the resorts that do offer that standard view are the quickest to go. Why? Because DVC members can get the most, pardon kind of the phrase, but get the most bang for their buck.
They can, right.
With their points. So if they're looking to, book for their own personal vacation, they can make their own personal points, stretch out a little bit longer if they do those
so
standard
it's not
views.
that one-time trip where they're like, we're going this week and then we're going to go back for food and wine and then we're going to go back for Christmas. So they're like, we're going to do standard and then we can go 4 times a year.
Exactly. So for budgeting, we always recommend look at those like lake views, garden pool view. Those are the ones that stick around the longest at those resorts that offer those. So for budgeting purposes, definitely look at maybe some different views. Instead of looking at a parking lot, you might look at a pretty garden. Right. I don't know, or some flowers, out your window or instead of the building next door. But definitely see those in trends. And the other thing I would say too is if you are looking on our availability tool, next to each option, we do have a little calendar icon. And so a lot of times folks don't realize that calendar icon is there. You can click on it and see the date range of what nights are and are not available. Now, again, of course, subject to some changing depending on how fast things are moving, but it should give you at least a good idea.
Oh, That's really helpful.
But another variation of that, we have a lot of guests that'll come to us and say, we have no school in the month of June, so we can travel most days in the month of June. Put the first day of June as your check-in day, the last day of June as your check-out day, and then click on that calendar icon. It'll show the
bring up
whole
thing.
month to see what nights are available and what nights are not. And so
helpful.
A lot of times people are like, I don't even know how to start this. Or if you're looking at a split stay
such a great
between
tip,
two
Lindsay.
different things, between two different resorts, it gives you an idea of what's there, and you can start piecemealing together things with split stays and
it will give you all different resort rooms, or you have to pick a resort.
No. All
Okay,
of them.
so all of
So, if you're looking for maybe a split stay and you're really just determined to stay at the Grand Floridian, you can maybe get 2 nights there and then may have to move to Animal Kingdom or Old Key West to complete that stay. But, the availability tool is such a great resource if you use it to its capabilities. And so, I think a lot of people just see the travel dates that they're looking at. And of course, sometimes you don't have any flexibility, right? You are just pigeonholed into X and Y, which is fine. But at the end of the day, for those that do have some flexibility or are excited about staying at multiple
It's
resorts.
like Southwest looking at their calendar.
Exactly.
If you're a little bit, and I do that a lot, where I'm like, if I go on this Thursday instead of Friday,
cheaper than
but
this,
it's helpful
and
to see the calendar and know, hey, you might, if you shifted and maybe took off Wednesday, Thursday instead of Monday, Tuesday, you could get that 5-day vacation.
And that's a good point too, Marissa. On trends, a lot of people think that when they're staying through DVC Points, they have to stay because of the original timeshare kind of stereotypes that these members only own like a week, Saturday to Saturday.
This time
That is not the case with DVC Points. DVC Points are kind of the new age of the dreaded word timeshare, right? And so, you can check in any day of the week. You can check out any day of the week. You do not have to stay for a full week. You can be 1 night all the way up to 2 weeks if you're traveling from overseas and just looking for a really long holiday, as they call them.
I would say too, don't be afraid of that split stay. Right. Don't be afraid of a Grand Floridian, Animal Kingdom, or Beach Club and Copper Creek or something, because you just get 2 really different experiences as well. So don't be afraid of that, kind of split stay. When the members that I know have done that, they kind of say, oh, we have to, pack up and move. But then they're like, actually, it was really exciting because we got to eat at different restaurants and we didn't have to necessarily pool hop because we went from one pool to another, closer to Epcot, closer to Magic Kingdom. So those little split stays sometimes can be really,
for sure,
kind of a fun adventure.
It definitely
Walk us through the split stay really quickly. So on the rental side, and if that's the difference, is it the same? So let's say I'm staying at Animal Kingdom 2 nights and then shifting over to the Grand Floridian. What does that look like on my checkout of Animal Kingdom and my check-in to Grand Floridian?
Great question. All the way around. So split stays are, they're for some and not for all. I think to Carrie's point, it's a great opportunity for guests to see more than one resort. But if you have littles, like maybe 5 and under, that travel with half the house,
maybe it becomes a hassle.
Maybe it becomes more than what it's worth. And so wait until they're a little bit older, because you are required to, unpack and then pack up and then unpack and pack again. And that day of checkout and check-in, honestly, I always recommend, it's a great pool day, because I would recommend get up, get your things put together. You can take them to Bell Services. They're the resort that you're checking out of. You can arrange a transfer of your luggage for free.
Okay.
Yes, for
free transfer.
And
pack a pool bag.
Exactly.
Just pack
get
what
you need for that day.
You.
If you are in a larger unit, or even one of the smaller ones that have the dorm size fridges, you can, Bell Services will keep all of your cool things cold and frozen things frozen. They'll transfer it to the next resort that you're moving to, and it will be waiting for you if you're taking a park day, when you return to the resort, or they'll let you can check in later in the afternoon to see if when your stuff has arrived. But it is great. One thing though to point is that you do have 2 separate confirmation numbers. So they're not dependent on each other, right? They are separate. If you're booking in the 7 to 11 month booking window, one thing to note is that it is completely separate of each other. So with us, one does not dictate the other. So in other words, if we get the reservation reservation in for Animal Kingdom, it may mean that the Polynesian one sits for a little bit longer, and maybe availability changes before it books. So always have a plan B, C, and D when looking at a split stay. Because Disney will require a different DVC member to secure each of those reservations based on booking rules.
Right.
If you're inside the 0 to 7 month booking window, one member can book all of those reservations because Disney no longer looks at that home resort status. Right.
Everything's open.
You still have 2 confirmation numbers.
Okay.
You still have a day and a day of check-in times 2 and a day of checkout times 2. What also means is that you'll have 2 60-day booking windows for your ADR, advanced dining reservations, right?
Oh, that's an excellent point.
Yeah. So when you are looking at planning and when you are ready to book those advanced dining reservations, always make sure that you can book everything on your first reservation that you want on that day of checkout of that first reservation.
Right.
But anything beyond that, you will have to wait until the day your 60-day booking window opens for that second day of check-in.
Right.
For that second resort.
Yes, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So on the topic of split stay, and I know this is kind of our 2024 episode. However, there is news in
very
2025 that we're going to hear a lot more common of split stays, and that is the added benefit of the water park.
Right.
And so can you tell us a little bit about what deluxe guests get with that water park benefit?
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of an announcement that was made, a few weeks ago?
Well, what was crazy is like it was kind of like hidden under another announcement. So we were like, is this real?
Yeah, and it's based on the day of check-in, you get 1 day at either of the water parks.
Typhoon or Blizzard.
If you're staying at a deluxe resort.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily mean if you're on DVC Points. It just means that if you are at a deluxe resort. So that perk does pass through to guests that are staying through Points, which is
awesome.
great. So
That is great.
if you've never ventured to any of the water parks, and little tell-all, I've never been to any of the Disney water parks.
Really?
Well, we have them in Indiana. So for me, I don't have Magic, but I do have water parks.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I don't know if that's...
But that's a great, when we talk about a split stay, that might be the day when
That's
you
the day
check
that-
out of Animal
right.
Kingdom.
Correct. Go to the
you're
water park.
getting that water park
park.
for free
That's
for
right.
everybody in your room.
That's right.
Which, I mean, when you look at like a
savings.
2-bedroom,
Yeah.
you've got
That's a big thing.
8 or 9
That's a big
people in
thing.
that room. They're all getting free tickets to
That's
the
right.
water park. And then you can go on to your
And you can
next
hop on the
day.
bus, get you there, hop on the bus back,
Yep.
and call it a day. So one other point to note too on the split stays, if you are looking at a dining plan, because they are back in 2024, right? That is the big thing starting in January.
Yeah.
With the split stay, while Disney requires that all guests on a reservation that are 3 and older, if the dining plan is desired, all of the guests that are on that guest list must purchase the dining plan for all nights of the reservation. If you are doing a split stay, you can kind of work the system a little bit in that you do not have to have a dining plan on both reservations. So if you are really like, this is how we're doing the first 2 days at the Polynesian, and I think a dining plan would be in our best interest, then you can purchase the dining plan for that Poly stay, but then move to Animal Kingdom where maybe you don't need it because you have a 1-bedroom or whatever the case may be. You do not have to purchase the dining plan for that. So that is another question we get all the time.
We're going to have to write a blog on this. I grew up in like the most budget household ever.
Yes.
Like my mom was like coupons and budgeting and
Yeah.
But this is a great point because now I'm like brainstorming. You could get, but let's say you get a studio, right, for the first part of your stay and you do the dining plan and you want to take advantage of like those special locations and dining
out.
and then you do a split stay. You get water park for free on one of those days. The rest of your days, let's say you get a larger room, you can do 1-bedroom with the full kitchen and then dine in for those.
Yeah.
Even if you're adding on like the resort stay at the end.
Correct.
That's a great way to do
Have
it.
the groceries brought in,
Yeah.
make the sandwiches, a spaghetti dinner, and
Absolutely.
there you go.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't go on vacation to cook.
They don't.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
However, you can, if you have Amazon Prime or belong to any of the other delivery.
Exactly. Pizza.
All
My
the
husband's
local
the opposite.
supermarkets
We
do
go
it.
on vacation and like we have to get a 1-bedroom because he cooks
Loves
on
it.
vacation. He loves it. And so
Teach their own. I'll
Yes.
have grills and
Yep.
amazing areas
Yeah.
to do that kind of stuff. All of the resorts do, but you can have groceries delivered directly to the resort. If you include alcohol in there, I'll just give this little piece, but if you have alcohol, someone 21 or older must be present at the resort when they deliver it, because you have to sign off on it. If no alcohol, they can be delivered at any time during the day. Bell Services will hold it for you, again, keeping everything cold and frozen.
Right.
And then, just get your groceries. And really, it's a great way to still have a Disney vacation, but on a budget. Yeah.
So the other big question as we roll into 2024 and renting points is our new resorts. And so for people who've been watching the show, DVC members or people looking to buy DVC, especially on the resale market, you know that since Riviera, there's been a whole different kind of change up. That reflects the rental side. And I don't think we talk about it that much. But now when you look, for example, at Riviera and renting points there, the pool of members that can rent out their points there is much more select compared to guests, let's say, at the Grand Floridian.
Right,
and the reason for that is if people have bought on the resale market post 2019, post that January 2019, their points are only usable at the classic 14 resorts. They're not able to take their points and use them for Riviera, Disneyland Tower Hotel, or the new Fort Wilderness Cabins. On the flip side, if you have bought points there, let's say at Riviera or California, and you've bought them on the resale market, your points are limited to only there, and you might be like, okay, so we'll stick with that. But I think one of the things to keep in mind is that you're going to have much more demand to rent your points. So I know a lot of people are nervous about buying Riviera on the resale market or for Wilderness Cabins when they come. But if you know that's going to be like primarily where you want to stay for all of your DVC vacations, and you're nervous, like, what about the times I'm not using them? Rent your points, because there's going to be a much higher demand for those locations. So just something to keep in mind with that. And then walk us through a little bit of the guest side, because as a guest looking to rent, obviously these new hot locations, people are like, let's go, but they're harder to find availability. So walk us through what that looks like and how to plan.
Yeah, it is hard, and obviously hot topic right now because it's brand new are the Fort Wilderness Cabins. I think it's one of those where, let's be honest, I think, Carrie, because you deal with members all the time, right? And when on the resale side or direct, no matter what, when you buy a DVC membership, in most cases, members don't buy for others to use their points, right? So at the initial 3, 6, 12 months of that contract life, members are more than likely using them for themselves. And that's just the reality of it. The other thing I would say is, because of the rules, everybody's kind of in that honeymoon phase, of the contract. Because the rules on Wilderness Cabins and the Riviera are so different, I think it's taking a little bit of getting used to how they work and what they can and cannot do. On the flip side of that, members that have owned forever, pre-2019, are still learning the rules on what they can and cannot do with their points with the new resorts too. So it is just it's just kind of a different atmosphere, but all that translates to really renting points at those newest resorts, specifically Riviera and the Fort Wilderness Cabins for sure, are a little difficult. And everybody wants to go in at be the first guest. I know, right? They all want to be the first guest to get it. And sometimes that when renting points, it's just not a realistic expectation when looking at those locations.
Because people are going to use it first.
Because the members want to use what they've bought. That's the reality, right? They just want to use what they've bought. But the other thing is because of the rules, they're a little handicap in how they can actually use those points and how they can book those rooms for guests to use. It also, and you guys can probably speak to this a little bit more, but when a new resort comes online, how many contracts are sold, the points that are in rotation also kind of dictate.
Well, they also don't sell it all at one time.
Correct.
So like, for example, Riviera, they haven't opened all of it for sale. So they open up different waves. And so different units, different waves get open up. And so with the cabins, they'll limit only a certain amount that goes online for sale. And then they'll slowly open it up. So before they do that, only the parts that might affect how many members own the points, but it also affects how many members can
Reservations.
use points
Yeah.
for those stays.
Yeah.
So typically when a DVC resort opens, whatever declared inventory that DVC declared is only accessible on points. The non-declared inventory, which is typically like 90%,
Yep.
is used for cash booking.
That's
So
right.
again, that's where I think people, when they go online, if you're doing like a Disney reservation on the Disney website and you look and you go, well, this is available on cash. Yes. And that's where, again, on that flip side, if you are saying, I want to go to the Fort Wilderness Cabins or Riviera and I don't want to compromise, I want to go right now, and it's not available, that's where maybe look to pay cash for that one trip.
Yeah.
Or be more flexible on kind of, hey, if you know you're going back in the next few years, maybe you go for Grand Floridian on this day and say Riviera for, and Riviera is getting a little bit more
little- for
flexible,
sure.
but for sure the cabins.
Yeah, for
maybe
sure the
it's
cabins.
staying at a treehouse now
Right, yeah.
and shifting over to the cabins
For sure.
next year.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I think too the cabins are unique. Right now they're getting ready to come online for all members that are direct and grandfathered in to book those reservations. One thing to keep in mind with the cabins is that they are not Copper Creek cabins. They are Fort Wilderness Campground cabins, which means that there are no washer and dryers in the cabins, but they are being
Square footage is much smaller,
much smaller.
Yeah, than the Copper Creek.
The new Fort Wilderness cabins are being classified as one bedrooms. Most all of the one bedrooms have that washer and dryer unit
Yeah.
in the room. They do not, like, all the sleeping options are in the closed off section, whereas in one bedroom villas,
There's room, bedrooms.
it's a king bed,
Yeah.
and then sectioned off from the rest of it. So there are some pretty substantial differences, I think, for those that have done the DVC route, just to be mindful of. And
No, it's a good point.
yeah.
The view's a little different.
A little bit different.
Yeah, you're not going to have the
That
lake
said-
view. You're going to look maybe
Yeah.
at the other cabin.
Exactly.
But they're still great,
I've
though.
never
They're
stayed
still
at the
cute.
campgrounds, but I've heard that they're a great time.
Yeah.
So, everybody, I guess, wants to at least try it once. Yeah.
They're
So
great.
another thing that was new released this year that has been in the past but taken away for many years and now has come back is the dining plan.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people don't realize that when you use points or rent points from a DVC member, you're also able to add on the dining plan, which I
Correct.
think is an awesome
It
benefit.
really is.
Yeah.
It's so convenient to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about, to your point, you could add it on some of your split
To one.
stay and
Right.
take it out for another if you wanted to. But just tell us a little bit about that and how that works in terms of when they go to book the reservation. Like, is it something that's offered at the end? Is it a button they click? How does that work?
Yep. We don't do a dining plan at the time that the reservation is booked. You have to have a secured reservation with a confirmation number in hand. For Walt Disney World reservations, that is where the dining plan is offered with DVC. So if you're staying at Alani, Hilton Head Vero, anything out in California, that is not an option.
Right, not included.
We get asked if
Right.
we can add a dining plan
Right.
for Alani. It's just not an option. So it is available for Walt Disney World stays to purchase. We require full payment at the time of purchase. You can purchase a dining plan up to 30 days prior to your date of arrival.
I was just going to ask that, how far in advance? So you can do it
Yep.
from the
Time that it's booked,
time you book
you get
up
that
to
confirmation number.
30 days in advance.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only caveat that I will say is because we are booking well into 2025 now, right? Because
Yes,
today
right.
opened March 20 something for 2025. So DVC stays have not or DVC, I should say, has not released pricing for 2025 dining plans at this time. That pricing is typically released late summer, early fall.
Okay.
And so if you do have a reservation secured right now for 2025, hold on.
Coming soon.
It's
Yeah,
coming
coming soon, yeah.
You can certainly ask the reservation specialist team, my girls, if you will, if they can give you some kind of an estimate or approximation of what the pricing would be. It would be based
Based
on
off
what
of
today.
this year, yeah.
Yeah.
And you might
But
have
as
said
far
this,
as-
Lindsay.
yeah.
I'm sorry if you did, but they're going to book it directly through your team.
So you purchase the dining plan through us. Again, full payment at the time of purchase. It is a separate purchase, so
Right.
it's not included in that reservation,
Yep.
right? It is separate, an add-on, if you will. And then once money is received from you, the guest, we then contact the renting member on your behalf to get that dining plan added on. So to that reservation. So it is added by the renting member. It does require the renting member to call into DVC Member Services to add on that dining plan to that reservation.
member will do that.
But the member is responsible for that, and that is part of the benefit of coming through like the DVC rental store
Yep.
to help with those kind of things.
Right.
You will never have to reach out.
Right.
or
The
contact
renter
member.
does not have to.
Yep.
And then the member is going to give you
The confirmation.
the confirmation number, and then you'll give that to the renter of that,
guest.
so that they'll have everything.
And that way they
their
never
stay.
have to get in the in-betweens of that
Right, you
communication.
stay out of that. Yeah,
Because
exactly.
they can be trying, right?
Sure.
I mean, DVC members are human just like all of us, right? And have lives and activities and whatnot involved. And so it does require them to carve out a little piece of their day to call DVC member services and get that taken care of on behalf. But it is part of their requirement as when they sign on to rent their points, that if they do rent for Walt Disney World reservation, that is part of their responsibility, is that if the guest opts to purchase a dining plan, that they add that dining plan. One things to note, so talking about direct through Disney reservations, is, Disney often runs those free dining promotions,
Yeah.
right? Or if you use like your Disney Visa, that was one that was most recent, that you got a dining perk. So those never come over to or can be applied to a DVC stay.
Right.
And so what I always recommend, this is a very common question that we receive, is do I or do I not buy the dining plan? And I think it's very guest specific and what you're wanting. If you're wanting more of an all-inclusive type vacation, then do the dining plan because it's paid for and you just bump your band and go, right?
Yeah.
But if you are more of a cash as you go because you're not sure if you're going to use all those credits, you want to do more signature dining, whatever the case may be, maybe the dining plan is not specifically for you. So definitely do some homework on it. And that also includes the math of what the dining plan costs and what it doesn't. And so
that's where our website with DVC Rental
Correct.
Store is a really great resource tool. And again, you can ask the team there too.
Absolutely.
But one of the great resources is our blogs on there.
Yes.
And so we have a blog that talks about is free dining really free? And it's funny because when we worked at DVC directly for many years, whenever people would come in and learn about Disney Vacation Club, they'd be like, okay, so do I still get free dining? Because they'd be staying at the deluxe resorts and
exactly.
adding that on, and that would be free,
Yeah.
right? And so we have this really great blog that details and does all the math of a beach club reservation directly through Disney with the free dining, free, or with the Disney Visa promotion, right? Whatever promotion they're running that gives free dining. And then we have the same exact reservation booked through DVC Rental Store, adding on the dining plan.
Yes.
And you're saving about $1,000 going through DVC Rental Store.
Yeah.
And so while that might not be a significant, right? I think in a lot of scenarios with DVC Rental Store, you save 50, 60%, right? That might not be as large of a percentage once you add on the dining plan.
Right, for
However, when you think about it, in the end of the day, what is $1,000 going to get you, right? What
absolutely.
can you repurpose that for on that Disney vacation? Because we know that's not going to be the end of where you need to spend money for a Disney vacation.
Many times, and depending on the resort, of course, and the room size and view, that kind of thing. But in most cases, guests will find that by adding the dining plan to a DVC, say they still have some savings. It may not be as great, but there is still some savings there because Disney, if you read the fine print of a lot of those promotions, require a certain amount of days on the room reservation, and in a lot of cases require theme park tickets to be purchased in addition to getting that free dining. And so one thing that's great with DVC is you do not have to have a theme
And same
park.
for people renting DVC points.
Right.
So you do not have to have theme park tickets on the reservation to get the dining plan. You can buy them separate. So you can definitely, because a lot of DVC members are annual pass holders, right?
Right.
So they don't need the theme park ticket, right?
Yeah.
So they do allow that dining plan to be added onto the DVC reservation, no problem. And then if you do or are in need of theme park tickets, I'll just give a quick spin or plug, I guess. Come to our website as well. We do offer discounted theme park tickets. You can purchase them there as well.
And we
link up
constantly are
right-
monitoring that. And if you go DVC Rental Store, DVC Resale Market, you can do buy discounted tickets.
Absolutely.
And we typically, you can compare yourself and look out there, but we have the lowest price on Disney tickets. So if you're going to Disney World, and again, if you want that flexibility of booking through Rental Store, maybe adding on a couple days in the parks, check out the tickets, lowest price there. We're also authorized sellers for Universal tickets too. So I know with all of the excitement coming very, very soon, one with DreamWorks Land, which I'm super excited for.
Epic
But
Universe.
yes, Epic Universe is on everyone's the tip of their tongue. So if you're looking to buy tickets for Epic Universe, coming soon. You can buy them right there at DVC Rental Store too.
Yeah.
Lindsay, lastly on the dining plan, did they still do the tiers, the different?
Oh, great question.
Yeah, like the different
There
levels.
are 2.
Okay, there was
Pre-COVID,
3, right?
I think there was actually 4.
Was there? Yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
chaotic. Right before COVID, in 2020, Disney released the 4th dining plan, and it was good
It's
for all of like
crazy,
2
right?
months, and then everything stopped. But yeah, so there are 2. They brought back 2: the Disney dining plan and the quick service.
Okay.
So
Disney dining plan and the quick service. Okay.
Yeah, and the Disney dining plan was the standard dining plan
Yeah.
prior to COVID quick service.
Right.
There are some change. They did change the rules slightly. I think there were a lot of guests that kind of figured out how to maybe work the system a little bit with
Yep.
those dining credits, and so I think they're a little more strict on how they can be used and sharing capabilities or the lack thereof. But so we're not a dining plan family because I have very picky eaters in my family, and we've done the research, I've done the math, so for my family it's never really worked out, but I have plenty of guests that I've worked with where it does. And
My
so,
friend has
does
2
work for
growing
some,
boys,
yeah.
and for
Yeah.
them, they're like, it's a non-negotiable.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure
We
because of
eat the
amount of
food and then some,
Yeah,
and
right.
like what we would have paid, it's a
Sure.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
And again, if you're looking at like those tiers and kind of want to know details, DVCRentalStore.com, just type in the search bar dining plan.
Yeah.
You'll see all the blogs that we've written
Yeah.
on that and
Yeah.
all the details.
Yeah, if you hover over guest 2 at the top, it all comes down. There is
Yeah.
a ton of different options on there to help you plan your trip. So
Awesome. So I know this has kind of been focused on renting points, and we've done a whole episode, and I'll put that in the show notes here with Paul, where we talked about on the member side.
Yeah.
But one thing that I did want to point out for all of you DVC members out there, we do pay the most to the DVC members. So if you're considering renting points, I know a lot of people are looking to do different things. And the great thing is with our company, there's so much flexibility, right?
Yeah.
So if you're renting points, or if you're looking, if Epic Universe is also on the tip of your tongue for next year, we've got swaps.
Yep.
And so reach out to the team there. We pay up to $20 per point, which again is the most in the industry. So if you're considering not using your points, reach out to us. The joke that we have with our COO is that he will rent out a swap TV for your points. Not quite. But again, if you're looking to do Disney cruises, if you've got Lighthouse Point on your list or the Treasure coming soon, reach out. If you're looking to do Universal, you can swap your points. What I love about our Universal swap is you can swap your points for your stay as well as your tickets. And
Right.
so where like DVC, when you're using your points as a DVC member, you can just use the room. If you've got points and the Universal swap points are significantly less, so you can do the whole vacation and really cover. You've got Express Pass if you stay at a premium resort as well as your tickets. And you don't have to spend a dime, which is awesome. So again, reach out to the team, DVCRentalStore.com, for all of the resources there. But what I will say is we know many of you have lots more renting questions. So we'd love to answer all of those questions. So go ahead and put in the comments what questions you have about renting out or renting points, and we'll make sure that we answer those on the next episode. And again, email us at info@worldofdvc.com, and we will pick one lucky winner to win a $100 Disney gift card.
Go to your favorite pool bar.
There you go.
And spend it there.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much,
Lindsay,
Lindsay,
so good
for
to
joining
see you.
us.
ladies,
We
it was
always
a
love when you're in
pleasure.
town.
Yeah, thanks for having
This
me
is
again.
great.
Love it.
And as Derek would say,
we don't even have him here
We
to
don't
give
have
us
Derek, but
all.
I will keep the long-standing tradition
Carrie.
going. Right, that we've
Appreciate
got
ya.
one more thing left to do, and that is, ready, ladies?
Yep.
We'll see you real soon.
Oh boy, that was good.
It starts with a spark, alive in our hearts, a chance to